Have you ever stared out at the sea and felt a shiver run down your spine? Not from the cold, but from the vast, unknowable darkness beneath the waves. What secrets does the deep hold? Today, we redive into a mystery that has baffled historians and thrilled storytellers for over a century. The strange disappearance of 3 lighthouse keepers from the Flannan Isles. Their final log entry, a chilling account of an unnatural storm and a peculiar silence, ended with something truly unsettling. The sound of footsteps climbing from the sea. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, and if you love a good historical mystery, you've come to the right place. The story begins in December of 1900, on Terramute windswept island of Ellenmore, part of the Flannan Isles. Off the western coast of Scotland, this place was notorious for its treacherous weather and isolation. The lighthouse, there was a beacon of safety, manned by 3 seasoned keepers. Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. These weren't rookies. They were experienced men, familiar with the loneliness and the fury of the North Atlantic. They knew their duties inside and out. Keeping the light burning was not just a job. It was a sacred trust. A ship passing on December 15th noted that the light was shining brightly, everything seemingly in order, but that was the last time it was ever confirmed to be operational. Days turned into a week, and then 2. The relief vessel, the Hesperus, was scheduled to arrive on December 20th, but was delayed by a fierce storm. When Captain Jim Harvey and his crew finally made it to the island on Boxing Day, December 26th, an eerie feeling settled over them. The island was unnervingly silent. No one was at the landing to greet them. The flagstaff was bare, and most chillingly, the lighthouse was dark. This was a grave breach of protocol. A keeper was always supposed to be on watch. Joseph Moore, a relief keeper, was the first to go ashore. He found the entrance gate to the compound and the main door both closed. Inside, the living quarters were strangely tidy. The beds were unmade, and a clock on the wall had stopped. On the kitchen table, a meal of meat and potatoes lay untouched, as if the men had been called away in a hurry. The only thing out of place was an overturned chair, suggesting a sudden panic or a struggle. But the most perplexing clues were found in the lighthouse logbook. The entries, penned by Thomas Marshall, painted a terrifying picture. On December 12th, he wrote of severe winds, the likes of which he had never seen in 20 years. He described James Ducat as being very quiet, and Donald MacArthur, a notoriously tough ex-soldier, as having been crying. A man known for his grit, reduced to tears by a storm. This was highly unusual. The log for December 13th stated the storm was still raging, and the men were praying. For veteran keepers, storms were part of the job. What could have been so terrifying about this one? The strangest part is that there were no reported storms in the area on those dates. The skies were clear. So what storm were they writing about? Was it something supernatural? Something only they could see and hear from their isolated perch? The final entry, on December 15th, read, "Storm ended. Sea calm. God is over all." And then, nothing. The slate for a log entry after this was wiped clean, but a separate slate for notes contained a final, cryptic message. It was a jumble of words about the time, the weather, and then, the most chilling part of this entire mystery. The last few words scribbled on that slate, before it went silent forever, reportedly mentioned the sound of footsteps. Footsteps climbing the spiral staircase from the base of the tower, as if someone or something was ascending from the sea itself. After that, the log fell silent. The men were gone. A thorough search of the island revealed more strangeness. The men's oilskins, their heavy weather gear, were missing, suggesting they went out into the storm, but one set remained. This meant one of the keepers had gone out into a tempest without his protective clothing, an act that was essentially a death sentence. At the western landing, ropes and a supply box, which were normally secured 100 feet above sea level, were strewn about, showing evidence of significant storm damage. But how could a storm cause such damage at that height without also sweeping the men away? And why would they have gone down there in the first place during such a gale? The official inquiry concluded that the men were likely swept away by a freak wave while trying to secure equipment. It's a plausible theory, but it doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain the crying, the phantom storm in the log, the untouched meal, or the one keeper who left without his gear. And most of all, it doesn't explain those final, haunting footsteps. Over the years, many theories have emerged, ranging from the mundane to the utterly bizarre. Some believe the men fought, with one killing the other two before taking his own life. But there was no sign of a struggle inside the lighthouse, aside from the single overturned chair, and all three men had good service records. Others suggest a more psychological explanation. Perhaps the intense isolation drove one of them to madness. Could one keeper have convinced the others to leap into the churning sea? It's a dark thought, but the psychological toll of such a lonely post can't be underestimated. Then there are the more imaginative theories. Local legends on the nearby Isle of Luz speak of phantom birds and ancient spirits that haunt the Flannan Isles. Some have even proposed that the men were abducted by foreign spies or, yes, even aliens. While these ideas are exciting, they lack any concrete evidence. But let's circle back to that logbook. What if the storm wasn't meteorological? What if it was something else entirely? A force, an entity, a presence that tormented the men for 3 days. The fear, the praying, the tough man weeping it, all points to a terror that was beyond their comprehension. This storm was localized to their minds, or perhaps to the island itself. This brings us back to the footsteps. Imagine the scene. The sea has finally calmed. The men, exhausted but relieved, believe their ordeal is over. And then they hear it. A slow, steady, wet sound. A rhythmic tramp, 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 echoing up the stone spiral staircase of the lighthouse. A sound that has no business being there. A sound coming from the direction of the sea. What would you do? Would you run? Would you hide? Or would you go to confront whatever was making its way up towards you? Towards the light. The untouched meal and the overturned chair suddenly make more sense. They weren't just called away. They were startled, terrified into action. 2 men grabbed their oilskins and rushed out, perhaps to meet the intruder or to escape it. The third, in his haste or panic, forgot his, following them out into the unknown. We will likely never know for certain what happened to Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. Their bodies were never recovered. The sea holds its secrets close, but their story serves as a chilling reminder of the power and mystery of the natural world, and perhaps the unnatural world as well. The Flannan Isles lighthouse is now automated, its light shining out over the waves, watched over by machines instead of men. But for those who know the story, that light seems to carry a warning about the vast, dark ocean, and the things that might, just might, climb out of it. The tale of the keepers who vanished into the mist is more than just a ghost story. It's a profound mystery that continues to capture our imagination. A final, silent log entry in the annals of the unexplained. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a historical mystery, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories that will make you question what you think you know. Ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Stay curious, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.